Now, I want to ask about the relationship between because these men's clinics said everyone's talking about TRT and they're all getting on it, and it seems to be like really hitting like a exponential curve. I feel like how much because I think if someone got their blood work done, because a lot of these men clinics will do that blood work, and they saw like high cortisol, metabolism crashing, testosterone crashing. I think more commonly right now, you'd hear someone say, "Oh, well, you need TRT or something,"
Yeah,
rather than we need to
yeah, because
manipulate nutrition.
there's
Yeah,
money to be made. And so what I would say to anybody who feels like they're in that scenario, particularly if you are if there's been a major diet change where you are restricting calories and things, and then you go and you're seeing things are low, I would say um, get some sleep, get some, change your sleep patterns and eat at maintenance for like 2 months and then go back and retest that. Get that rechecked. But people don't want to do that. People want to just, what the other thing that's being abused a lot right now is people will go buy stuff online that they know will cause them to crash. So when they go and get tested and show up as low, they'll get their prescription that they wanted. The doc has no idea what they took. They're just saying, "Oh, you're at this rate, so we should put you on this." On the opposite side of that, it's kind of sad because there are plenty of people, particularly after the age of like once you start getting over kind of that like 35, 40 period, there are plenty of people who could benefit from that. We see a number of patients across the street who are kind of like borderline. It could be a it could be a non-surgical intervention surgery type injury that might heal on its own. It's just like a nagging thing that's been chronic. There are certain scenarios, and maybe they are a little bit on the low side. We are starting to look at things like maybe if that person might be a candidate and that might keep them out of having to have surgery. It might keep them, reduce some of their inflammation, and they may benefit from it. The reason I say it's sad that it's taken this long is because there's been such a stigma associated with TRT that was never associated with things like estrogen replacement therapy, which has been a big deal. The reason that's taken so long to get popularized is that when estrogen replacement has been a big deal for like, over 20 years now. So, and the difference being that somebody thinking the stigma being people not understanding that somebody's not blasting like 800 milligrams of test a week when they're just going and getting TRT. They're putting them at like, probably somewhere between 100 and 150 just to get them to like a normal physiologic level. So there are people who certainly can benefit from that. But yeah, I would say a lot of people jump the gun on whether or not they need to. And the later someone starts getting onto that, probably the better, but we still don't have enough. We don't have enough info
yeah.
to say that the general assumption is don't start doing any of that until it's like you are clinically in a range where you are low enough. So yeah.
So to that, because I noticed I've done some digging here, and so like I see a lot of people and across the social medias, I've seen this as well. Lots of people are saying, "Oh, you shouldn't do that because of concern like a higher risk of heart disease and stroke and stuff like that." But the reason I from what I saw, it didn't seem like it was very clear. And I'm also curious about if you have someone who has low T, they have this inflammation, they have all the symptoms that go with it. How much is the trade-off going to be from them having
Yeah.
more energy, doing more? Is it surely that kind of balances
So
out, doesn't it?
yeah, so it's hard because if you're talking about somebody who's like overweight, obese, eating too much, doing has all these other comorbidities, and then they go on TRT and they're not like exercising, there's
Okay.
probably way more risk associated with that
Mm.
because you can see you can see one moment. Uh, because you can see things like shifts up in somebody's LDL cholesterol, somebody's HDL cholesterol getting low. And these you can't, those are the things that we worry about in terms of indicators for heart disease. If somebody's already hypertensive and has high blood pressure, that's a concern. If somebody's already like has a high risk of they already have other things that they're putting themselves at a higher risk for cancer, then that's a concern. The difference being if somebody's being put at like physiologic normal levels of T, and then they go and are training hard and are exercising and eating right and doing what then we're that's the point where these risks are like very, very much minimized.
Okay.
So you don't have, so somebody shouldn't walk into one of those clinics thinking like, well, I'm like overweight and out of shape, and this is the thing that's just going to do the work for me to get me. It's like, well, no, you're probably just now going to still have all these problems and maybe just a little bit more muscle, and maybe a little bit more energy. But the people who do that thinking like this is going to be the thing that's going to spur, like, get me to the next
miracle cure for them
thing. That's like it. That's probably the biggest, one of the biggest misunderstandings of all of that.
Yeah.